What's up, vapors? Thanks for checking out Daily Vape TV. My name is Nick, and it's Fresh Build Friday. That's right, we got a brand new coil for you guys to try out today. Actually, once again, it's not so much a new coil as it is a new device. I've got this Rafale X RDA on top of my reload today, and that's what we're going to be building on. Now, before I get into this video, I do have to give a massive shout out to Henry and Daryl over at the UL booth at VPX. They're the ones that hooked me up with a couple of these devices to build for you guys today, so huge shout out goes out to them. And especially Daryl. You might know him better as Quest for Vape on YouTube. If you check out the link in the description I got down there for you, you can check out his channel. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you go subscribe to him right now. He's an awesome guy. He taught me everything there is to know about the Rafale X. Mainly my next point, which is this device here has a really interesting post setup. So instead of having just a positive and a negative post, it actually has a middle post that's grounded, so there's actually no conductivity going to that post. So you can build duals or quads or anything like that, and instead of dividing the resistance by however many coils you have in there, you're actually going to add the resistance of each coil. So if I had, for example, a 0.5 ohm coil and a 0.5 ohm coil, that would actually equal out to a 1 ohm coil on this device rather than a 0.25 ohm coil. So very interesting little device that we've got here to try out for you guys today. I will be doing a full review on this device in the very near future, so make sure you stay tuned for that as well. But until then, grab your mod, grab your wire, grab your wick, your addy, and some juice, and let's go down to the close-up view and build it up. Alright guys, so as you can see, we have a bit of a different backdrop today for Fresh Build Friday. With a big shout out going again out to Daryl. He hooked me up with the guys at the UL booth and they gave me a whole set of stuff here. I'm just going to quickly pan across this thing here. This is this badass build mat that they gave me, and yeah, it's pretty cool. So just going to get that guy right in the middle there. And we'll go ahead and get started with this build. So as you can see here, I pre-made my fuse Clapton wire just to save a bit of time, because this particular video really has less to do with the actual wire and more to do with the atomizer than anything. So the quirky little properties about this device here. So yeah, first thing I'm going to do is get my coil jig with a 3mm bit out, and I know specifically exactly how this should come out. I mean, I know the exact ohms that this build comes out to normally. So with this device here, it works a bit differently. As I stated real quickly in the beginning, instead of adding or instead of dividing your resistance, you actually add the resistance. So this here, this coil that I'm building right now, should come out to about 0.2 ohms when it's dual coil. However, it should come out to about 0.4 ohms because we're going to be adding the resistance together today to get our final resistance. And that's all due to the center post being completely insulated, so it doesn't play a role in the actual resistance. So let's see how many wraps we got here. That's 5. So we want 7 wraps. 6. And I'm pulling this stuff fairly tight. You want it pretty tight on there just to make sure those wraps don't separate too much. So there we go. That's one 7-wrap coil done. So now I'm actually going to take my snips and just cut it off right here, so we have plenty of wire for our next coil. And I'm just going to wrap another coil. And just like that, with a little bit of video magic, we have our set of fuse Clapton coils. Again, that's 7 wraps around a 3mm bit, and the target resistance we're shooting for is actually going to be 0.4 ohms. As I stated earlier, all has to do with the isolated center post. So quickly, we're just going to bring in our device real quick. Get it in focus there. So not sure if you can really see that, and I'll be sure to show you in a little bit better detail when I actually review this device here, but that center post is completely blocked off from any outer contact. So instead of being the inner contact here being the positive and the outer two being negatives, the one of these contacts is positive. This one right here is positive because it's isolated, and then this one right here is negative. So basically what you're going to be doing is building one giant coil all the way through without actually having to do that. So you actually have a set of holes right here in the middle that you can put a single coil in, which is pretty cool. I like that. So with this here, you can see these two terminals are a little bit taller, so you want the wraps that are going overhand to fit into this terminal here, whereas the wraps that go underhand should probably go into the center. I'm going to try to center these coils as best as I possibly can. It is a bit difficult with this device, however, it's still possible if you work hard enough at it. So first thing I'm doing right here is just loosening up my terminals, and I'm just going to turn it to face me a little bit better so I can see what I'm doing here. We're just going to install that one coil like so. And for now, I'm just going to tighten this one up, making sure that it's pretty close to the center post. Like that. And I want to leave a little bit of room on this negative end so we can have a little bit of something I can push towards the center so I can center my coil. So I'm just going to leave it just like that. That looks pretty good to me. There we go. And now I'm just going to trim the excess off. And those flush cuts can really get in there. I really like these snips that come with the Coil Master kit. And just doing a real quick straightening of it. Not going to finalize it whatsoever, but just wanted to kind of straighten it up a bit just to see where we're at. Next up, we have our next coil to do here. So, again, just the same exact installation as I just showed you there. Just want to make sure I get that all the way off there. Yeah, that's as close as I can get. So, well, this one wants to be a pain. I might actually trim that off because the end on mine tends to get a little bit longer, or wider rather, so there we go. That fits in no problem. And find our way to the middle terminal. Come on, baby. Just wiggle it until it gets in there. Let's go. There we go. All right. I can see it. Oh. Oh. There we go. Okay, now we're through. I actually have to adjust this coil ever so slightly so I can at least install this one here. It's being a pain for me today. It doesn't want to work with me. So again, just tightening that down, like so. And this end, leave a little bit of room there, and tighten that one down. All right, so far we're in pretty good shape. I'm going to attempt to just snip off all that excess wire. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult. Might have to just kind of rearrange that coil again, or just mess with it until I can reach that little piece. Try not to mess up my coil too much. Okay guys, so we're giving it some heat now. We're at 45 watts, just kind of pulsing our coils. Trying to get this bad boy to light up evenly. Yeah, we're starting to get there. We're almost there. These are very springy coils, a little bit extra springy. There we go, we're looking pretty good. I'm actually going to go ahead and crank up the wattage now. I think we'll do about 100 watts, so I'm at 98 watts. There we go. That looks nice. All right, so let's go ahead and wick this thing. Alright guys, so let's back off the camera real quick and take a look at some of this vapor production. Wow, alright, there we go. This is at 100 watts, or 98 watts. Wow, looking pretty good. So let's go back to the main screen, have a vape on this thing, and we'll talk about it some more. Alright guys, so now let's go over some of the finer details of this build that we just did here. I just wanted to tell you that my final resistance came out to 0.82 ohms. I'm vaping it at 90 watts and 8.59 volts, which is absolutely ridiculous in my opinion. I've never even come close to 8 volts in my life, of my entire life of vaping. I have never even come close to 8 volts, so this is actually a new one for me. I was thinking that each coil was going to come out to about 0.4, because when I do this build on a normal dripper, I get about an overall resistance of 0.2 ohms, so that just totally makes sense. So I have 2.4 ohm coils adding up to about 0.8 ohms, which is spot on exactly what I was expecting. Now my first category is the heat. This is a bit of a warm one, and I'm pretty sure that has to do with kind of the airflow situation that the Rafale has here. It has this like vertical shaft with two 45-degree angle airflow slots on it, and it's really interesting. Not my favorite airflow I've ever tried out. I kind of wish they just went with either a standard, 2 or 3 hole, or just a Cyclops eye or something like that, but it does work just fine. So with that being said, this is a bit of a warm one. Vaping it at 90 watts is a little bit extreme for me, a little bit too much on the hot side. I like a warm vapor, but not a hot vapor. This is definitely going to be more of a hot vapor. If that's not your thing, then I would definitely suggest trying a different kind of build on here. Now I am going to have to try a few different builds on this device here, just because it is a bit of a weird one, and I'm going to have to find kind of what works with me. But the way I look at it, the more surface area on a build, the better. So if I do like a 10 wrap or 12 wrap coil or something like that, just using regular round wire, and I figured that might get me a little bit higher resistance, and I don't have to use as high of a wattage, and just to get the same kind of vapor quality and quantity out of this one. But for now, I feel like this is going to be just fine. I know exactly how this vapes on a normal dripper, so that's kind of why I wanted to transfer it over to the Rafale X, just to give it a shot on here and see what it's like. My second category is the ramp up and ramp down time. I do get a few seconds of ramp up time, about 2-3 seconds before I fully get a big draw on it. You can kind of counteract that with a little bit of a purge. So you want to purge for the first couple seconds on here, and then it gets going, and then you can start your inhale. Or you can raise your wattage a little bit more if you wanted to. However, I like it just like it is right now. The ramp down time is not so significant, but it does have a bit of a sizzle to it. I'm going to say about a 2 to 3 second ramp down time as well. You can kind of counteract that with a bit of wicking. You just want to make sure you pay real close attention to your wicking, because if you're vaping this thing at this high of a wattage and this temperature, then you can definitely scorch your wicks pretty easily. So make sure you pay attention to wicking on this device here. Also, my third category is the difficulty of this build. Now, I did pre-make this wire, and honestly, I can pretty much spin up a couple feet of fused Clapton wire in no time by hand at this point, and I feel confident doing it. However, I'm going to have to experiment with this one a little bit more. I kind of want to try out a different style, maybe using some 24 gauge or something like that, maybe 10 to 12 wraps, something like that. Build it almost more like a series mod than anything else. It's definitely a bit of a learning curve when it comes to this one, and I don't think anyone out there is going to be able to master it right away. You're going to have to try a couple of builds on this thing before you actually get the hang of it. So with that being said, I'd say a moderate difficulty to this build, but I'm going to have to definitely try out a few more build videos for you guys. Finally, my final category is the flavor. Now, today I'm using Redbird by Bluebird. One of my favorites all time, I've got to tell you. Flavor is spot on this build. Exactly how I'm used to on a similar build on a different style RDA. It'd get full-on flavor out of it. Really no complaints in that department whatsoever. With this heat setup here, it does kill off some of the cream flavors, and I'm tending to get more of the sweet flavors. Really get no fruitiness out of it, which the Redbird is supposed to have a little bit of strawberry in it, and I get more of like the cereal flavor that's supposed to be in there and less of everything else. So it's going to bring out the sweeter notes and kind of kill off some of the other flavor, but other than that, that's kind of on par with every other build that I've done similarly to this. So before I sign out real quick, I'm going to do a few more little puffs on this thing just to show you guys some vapor production. So as you can probably tell, this thing absolutely chucks the vapor. Really no complaints about how much vapor you get out of this device here. And I could probably even push it up to a few more watts, but I'm just going to leave it right here for now and save my batteries a little bit. But anyways, guys, that about does it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. Drop a comment in the box below of any type of build that you want to see me do on the Rafale X. If you like this build or anything else you want to talk about, we'll discuss it in the comments below. Of course, check out the advocacy links I have in the description. I have them down there for you so you can fight for your right to vape. And check me out on all my different social medias. I have Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you follow me on there. Like my page on Facebook. Check out my Snapchat. And if you want to fund this little channel of mine, then you can check out my Patreon as well. So anyways, guys, that about does it. And as always, vape on!